Yeah, late night is right, Ashley. Welcome inside the channel. Good to be with you guys. Less than an hour after being live with Sarah on the Vault. I wanted to get some commentary in here before the night officially comes to a close. It's 10:25 Eastern on the 16th of November, week 11 for the Ravens in the rear view. And for the first time since week 2, they are back to 500. Prior to the bye, they had dug themselves a hole that we all know all too well, 1-5. That was the hole. They've now won 4 straight games since the bye. Their defense is winning them games single-handedly in a lot of ways, and they are now 5-5 and squarely involved in the AFC playoff picture. Now, would they be in the postseason if it were to begin today or tomorrow? No. Well, the good news for them, though, is that it doesn't begin tomorrow or today. It begins a couple months from now. And right now, Houston, Kansas City, and Baltimore all in the hunt at 5-5, 500 football. And Denver 9-2 would be the top overall seed and earn the first round bye. Patriots would also be a division winner, as would Indianapolis and Pittsburgh. The Steelers improved to 6-4 today with a win over Cincinnati, but lost Aaron Rodgers in the process. It's some sort of left wrist break or small fracture. We'll have to wait and see how tests go on Monday. If the Steelers are without Aaron Rodgers, they're going to be without a legit shot, in my mind, to win the AFC North. Right now, they have a 1-game lead over the Ravens. They're 6-4, and that's where we stand right now. Great to be with you guys in post-game format. If you could on the way in, like the video, subscribe, hit that notification bell, consider becoming a channel member or gift-giving membership. You want to share a post-game thought with me, do so either in the live chat or call in by clicking on the link that I have included right now as a pinned comment in the live chat. What a freaking game, man. It was not pretty. It was ugly, matter of fact, at times. But all the Ravens really care is that it goes down in the left-hand side of the win-loss column, and that's exactly what it does. 23-16 was the final. A game that had defensive imprint and Zach Orr's defensive imprint and his players' imprints all over this game. You're supposed to dominate rookie quarterbacks in this league when you are an experienced, veteran-savvy defense, and the Ravens did exactly that tonight. Shedeur Sanders came in for an injured in the form of a concussion protocol, Dylan Gabriel, and combined, this was a Cleveland offense that was held to really an inefficient 2 for 14 on third down. They were also stopped in the game's final moment there on fourth down. They were 0 for 1 in that category. Overall, again, just struggled to move the ball on this Ravens defense. I thought Zach Orr, particularly on third down with some defensive back blitz designs, some of those concepts were really working well. Keon Martin was the beneficiary on one of them, sacking Cleveland. Kyle Hamilton had a sack, and Kyle Van Noy bulldozed his way to Dylan Gabriel in the first half for his second sack of the season. All in all, this was a Cleveland offense that was held to just 187 total yards. That's 3.5 yards per play. Shedeur Sanders was picked off by Nate Wiggins. 3 of his 4 interceptions have come against Cleveland. So, again, while, yes, competition has been far from stiff in recent weeks, the Ravens are doing everything that's in their control and everything that's in front of them. And that'll continue as this favorable schedule rolls on, with the New York Jets coming to town on Sunday in Baltimore. And then, of course, a short week, Thanksgiving night, Cincinnati comes to town. It'll be the first of 2 matchups within a 3-week span that they'll face the Bengals, and we'll see who ends up playing quarterback for them. They, again, lost and really collapsed in a lot of ways to Pittsburgh earlier this afternoon at Acrisure Stadium. So all in all, this was a Ravens win that was defined by special teams contributions. If you're Tyler Loop, the rookie who was 3 for 3 as a field goal kicker, he made both of his extra points. And on a day where you had blustery conditions, to convert from 44 and go 3 for 3, and as I mentioned, hit both of your extra points. And execute landing zone strategy and technique and manage the wind accordingly. You got to salute and tip your cap to number 33. He has passed the rookie test in succeeding Justin Tucker. And I want to give major love to Tyler Loop on a day where special teams was far from consistent and good. Jake Hummel, of course, flagged for an offside penalty on 4th down. Inexplicable, just cannot happen. It's really inexcusable. And it's crazy because in week 2, he was one of the special teams heroes in this Cleveland game. Not the case tonight. LeJonte Wester, couple rookie moments there. The muffed punt gave Cleveland, really gifted him 3 points. And luckily for LeJonte, didn't come back to bite him in the end. This is a game that had classic AFC North divisional wonkiness written all over it, right? In the end, Ravens don't really care how you win. You just have to find a way, and they did exactly that, in large part due to this guy and what we now know is a play that they call Hurricane. Short yardage woes who? Oh, man. A direct snap to Mark Andrews. What looked to be a tush-push turns into anything but. Mark Andrews talking about the game-deciding play post-game.
Hurricane, and I think the guys just executed it really well. Just trying to be versatile in that package, and it was a great play call. It felt great to get in the end zone.
How long have you been working on that, Mark? Is that something that dates back even last year, or no? Is it just more recent?
We're always constantly working on different things and variations of certain things to keep the defense honest, and it was a perfect scenario to pull that out there.
Did you get a sense?
89 at the post-game podium, John Harbaugh, Lamar talking about a play that we will talk about for a long time.
Well, I didn't hear it. We were talking about it, and I heard that I knew it was going to be called, but it was part of the conversation, and I was excited. It was a good call. We talked about calling that if we got inside of 1. If we weren't inside of 1, we weren't going to go for it. But we got to 1 because Lamar and Hop execute and make a play and gets us down in there. And then we get, I can't remember the sequence of events, but that was the call that was going to be made. And man, it was so beautifully executed. When you see it, and a good idea has many fathers, right? But when you see it executed well, that's what makes it a good idea. And that's what I'm probably most proud of.
Crazy. I was celebrating the whole time. We practiced it early on in the week, and it was looking pretty good. But we just needed a couple yards. But for him to go for a touchdown, that was amazing. And for him to have an all-time career, what it was, the receptions or receiving yards, that's crazy. Shout out to Mark.
What's going to go through your head as you watch him turn the corner on that play?
Go. That's all I'm saying. My mind, go, 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 go. Like, he turned on the judge, too. I guess he looked at 49, like, no way. Shout out to Mark, man.
That might have been the best aspect of it that's probably not being talked about enough. Mark is just a couple of years removed from a really gruesome ankle injury because of Logan Wilson's hip drop tackle on that Thursday night game against Cincinnati. For Mark to kind of hit and find that extra gear as he just ran away from oncoming defenders was really encouraging in terms of where he's at health-wise going into the second half stretch, where they're going to need Mark despite the slow statistical season, despite some of the uncharacteristic drops, despite some of the lack of, tight end success. They're going to need every aspect of what Mark is able to give them for the foreseeable future over the next couple months. So that's probably what hasn't been talked about enough. What will have plenty of discussion is this guy who took a swig of water after what's the right adjective? Ballsy, bold, guy's got stones. For Todd Monken to dial that up and have the gutsy confidence, gutsy fearlessness to call that in that moment, man, it's a championship type of mindset where you're having all kinds of short yardage woes. You are struggling in the red zone. You are struggling on first down handoffs to Derrick Henry. Myles Garrett is in game-wrecking mode, 4 total sacks. The guy was an absolute menace early and often. And yet, when the game's on the line, what are you going to dial up? A week ago, it was, hey, we're going to give Pat Ricard an opportunity to get a carry in a short yardage situation. We're going to allow Mark Andrews, right, to line up and take the direct snap. And Lamar lines up as a running back. We're going to pitch it to him for positive yardage and gains and chain moving opportunities. Like for what they lack up front at times, and in recent weeks against lesser competition, they have absolutely made up for it in the form of trickery, in the form of execution, and in tonight's case, in the form of a veteran making a veteran move in a clutch moment. So was thrilled for Mark, thrilled for Todd, thrilled for this offense that struggled mightily against a championship caliber Cleveland defense. Jim Schwartz, one of the best defensive play callers in this league. They were getting after the Ravens. Lamar was under duress. Lamar, I thought, struggled from an indecisiveness standpoint in the pocket. His accuracy was off at times. And this was a game that was won by Zach Orr's defense, which had Roquan Smith talking crazy fast post-game.
Tremendous amount of respect for Zio. It's America. Like I said earlier in the week, people are always going to have opinions. That's why I guess it's home of the free. So people are going to voice their opinions, and they have the right to do so. But I never wavered. He never wavered, nor did anybody in the locker room, because we knew who we were, and it was just more so about getting out and being who we are. And the job is not complete. The mission is not complete. We're still on task.
Agent Zero in rare form post-game, as he so often is, while also making it clear we're still on task. There is still a lot of work to do. But again, this was a defense that absolutely was the deciding factor tonight. Mark Andrews might get all the love. He'll get the headline, and Todd Monken will get the credit for dialing up, some creativity and trickery and mastering it. His personnel mastered it in a time of need. But make no mistake about it. This was a defense that did what it was supposed to up against 2 rookie quarterbacks, and Roquan articulated it best post-game.
It's a rookie at the end of the day. When you play a rookie in this league, you have to let them know they are rookies. Like, that's just what it is. Like, as a defense, a rookie should never be able to do crazy things on, like, a defense, especially with the amount of guys we have here. And that's just, like, how I look at it with all due respect to him. I think he's a great player. I think he's going to be a great player. Got a lot of respect for his family as well. And Gabriel as well. At the end of the day, they're rookies. And so rookies coming into the league, every defense should feel that way. They're rookie.
Even though you guys giving your 110% every play, what do with all the hype going in when you came in, was like a little pepper in your step? I felt like you guys really defending your pride when he was out there.
Absolutely not. The mission is the mission, and the mission wasn't complete regardless of who's out there. Could have put Stefanski at quarterback. Like, regardless, we have to play all brand of football, and that's just what it is. And like, he was the next man up, wishing Gabriel a speedy recovery, and so on and so forth. But we just have to control what we can control, and that's how we go about our business.
Oh, Agent Zero never changed. Some classic one-liners in there. When you play a rookie in this league, you have to let them know that they are rookies. With all due respect to him, referring to Shador, I think he's a great player. I think he's going to be a great player. Rookies coming in the league, every defense should feel that way. They're a rookie. Could have put Stefanski at quarterback. Like, regardless, we have to play our brand of football. That's just what it is. This defense has been playing its brand of football. Yes, there was areas for improvement, hence the tweets that were coming in game from former Ravens legend and future Hall of Famer Terrell Suggs. An hour into the game, he was like, oh, shit, here we go with the fuckery. He says, stepping on our own dicks again. He says, was 95 not on the scouting report with a million question marks? Yeah, Sis was taking a big sigh of relief after the game. But in rare form in-game, and maybe some of you can relate to those whirlwind of emotions that he was clearly feeling all game long. Bottom line is, They got to get better when it comes to pursuit angles, overall polish, tackling, and at times, the interior run defense has got to get shored up. Quinshon Judkins got a couple early looks, a couple other chunk plays. Dylan Sampson went for 19. Quinshon Judkins went for 16. But they bent at times, but ultimately did not break. As I mentioned, particularly on third down, 2 for 14, they held this Cleveland offense to. Very inefficient. Cedric Tillman had a long of 26. He hooked up there at 25 for Harold Fannin Jr. And Jerry Jeudy was actually just held to 3 receptions for 21 yards. It's hard to evaluate either one of these rookie quarterbacks, to be quite honest with you, particularly Shador, who came in the second half for Dylan Gabriel, who left due to concussion protocol. But the reality is the Ravens did what they were supposed to do. They did what they were supposed to do. They disrupted rookies, both rookie quarterbacks. They held this overall offense to under 200 yards in total, 106 rushing yards total for Cleveland. And what did they have total through the air? Just 115. Man, I think Carson Schwessinger is a conversation for another day, but Carson Schwessinger is a hell of a player, man. He's going to be a hell of a linebacker. He already is a hell of a linebacker. But the Ravens got a hell of a do-it-all player who is a linebacker, a safety, slot corner, you name it. Kyle Hamilton, yet again, the best Ravens defensive player on the field. 9 total tackles, 6 of which were solo, a sack, 3 tackles for loss, 2 pass deflections, and a quarterback hit. This was a dude that is never not in control, ever. And I thought there were several defensive players that deserve shout-outs. Cheeto Awuzie on that pass breakup in the end zone on what would have been a game-tying touchdown, a potential game-tying touchdown. Hell of a play. The instincts, the awareness, the ball skills, the savvy, got to give him his due. Nate Wiggins, of course, finding a way to reel in an interception. He's already got a couple on the year. Roquan Smith with one of the game-defining plays there, the pass breakup on 4th down. Who brought the pressure on that play on Shador? The new guy, Draymond Jones, who continues to make his presence felt immediately. He had a couple quarterback hits tonight. We'll wait and see what the overall pressure count is. By the way, Mark Andrews reached a top speed of 20.09 miles an hour on that touchdown run. So good for him. And yeah, he must be feeling pretty darn good and healthy. 3 total sacks tonight for the Ravens defense. Kyle Van Noy got a good licking on Dylan Gabriel. Keon Martin on the defensive back 3rd down blitz, and Kyle Hamilton. So good stuff there defensively. I thought Teddy Buchanan played well. Maybe has a couple different angles, a couple missed tackles that he would want back. Same thing with Malachi Stark. Same thing with Cheeto Awuzie on 3rd down. But then, of course, he made up for that on that pass breakup in the left-hand corner of the end zone. I thought Brent Urban had a great play there, knifing through Cleveland's offensive line. I don't think, maybe what was lost in the shuffle of what became a really entertaining and fast-paced game was that Cleveland actually lost its starting left tackle, Cam Robinson, to a knee. He was declared out. So Brent Urban certainly took advantage of that. I had a note on him that he just torched their replacement left tackle, KT Leviston, on 2nd down, knifing right through him. So good stuff for Brent. Still playing a small sample size and in rotational capacity, but still playing some good impactful ball for this Ravens defense. What other notes do I have that I wanted to discuss? Special teams obviously is somewhat of a concern outside of Tyler Loop coming off the night that was. This is an area where LeJontay Wester probably is going to have a tough week of film prep and whatnot. He muffed that punt that gave Cleveland a 1st and goal opportunity. The Ravens defense made sure to respond, limiting them to just a field goal. But that's got to get cleaned up. And John Harbaugh immediately went away from him. So I believe Keaton Mitchell and who else was back there with him? returning after that. Was it Tylan Wallace? I know Keaton Mitchell was definitely one of them. Or excuse me, it was Rasheen Ali. Keaton Mitchell and Rasheen Ali. So it'll be interesting to see what their strategy is, just to try and get LeJohntay his confidence back. I'm not saying that he's lost his confidence, but just to try and build up that rookie, use it as a teaching moment. And obviously, you got to find a way to corral that football. I get it that the conditions were difficult. There were blustery 30-plus mile-an-hour winds and wind chill. And he said he lost sight. I listened to his press conference or his media scrum after, and he said he just took his eyes off it for a half second, and the ball was swirling a bit. So hopefully he can get that cleaned up, because, look, it's not going to kill you against the Cleveland Browns team that's lacking in talent, that's lacking in, explosive firepower offensively, but it will against upcoming opponents, not named the Jets. But there'll be plenty down the second half stretch here, really the bottom quarter, the last third, I should say, of this season, where you have the New Englands, the Green Bays, the Pittsburghs that might end up being an Achilles heel, and it's not worth risking. And then not to mention, the aspect of the judgment call, right, Evan, which is what you're getting at here. The first return, fielding it from the 1 or 2, it's ill-advised. Let that go. Take your 20-plus yards, touchback, and go. So yeah, it's a teaching moment. It's a learning moment. I thought, it's a young player pressing. We know that he's extremely twitchy, explosive, instinctual, and he's made a lot of plays. We saw it in the preseason. So he wants to be that game-changing type of force. You just obviously, it all needs to be done in moderation. And so hopefully they'll be able to clean up that for LeJohntay. And then, speaking of touchbacks, a huge moment in the game. This was a huge moment. The on-field ruling, right, that the Browns would end up challenging on the touchback. I don't think that was a touchback, but it was ruled such on the field, which is huge when it comes to the language and terminology of inconclusive versus conclusive evidence. And ultimately, that call was upheld and not overturned, I think, because of exactly that. It was not conclusive. A really tight call. That's the difference between the Ravens getting the ball at their own 20 versus inside the 2, the 1, with Myles Garrett lining up defensively. That's a huge, significant play in the game that's not being talked about enough whatsoever. So sometimes in these AFC North battles, you got to have something that goes your way, and that certainly went in the Ravens' way. One officiating call that did not go in their favor was what looked to be a pretty textbook defensive pass interference that was not called on Tylan Wallace. So, things go both ways. Ravens got a big break on the called touchback on field, and ultimately, Cleveland gets away with one in their secondary going up against Tylan Wallace. Devontae Walker, did he play outside of special teams? Because John Harbaugh talked that with Rashad Bateman dealing with his high ankle sprain, that Devontae Walker would be next man up, and I don't think he had a target tonight. So anyway, he had 2 touchdowns in the week 2 game, 41-17 win over Cleveland. And ultimately they elected not to use him tonight. He was not in the game plan. Zay Flowers led the way from a pass catching perspective, 3 receptions for 78 yards, including that long of 45 in the second half. He was targeted 5 times. Zay, I thought, he's got such a great feel for zone. He's got great instincts. Obviously the yak and the explosiveness and that north to south type of speed that he showcases is elite. But he continues to be there for the Ravens, as was Mark tonight. Just 3 receptions for 32 yards. But in doing so, Mark became the all-time franchise leader in receiving yards, passing Derek Mason, former Ravens wide receiver. So congratulations to Mark. Obviously, it's been a tumultuous year for him. Happy for him. and happy that he was on the right end of tonight. And Todd Monken dialing up what we now know is Hurricane, which Pat Ricard shared was installed this week. Think about that. They installed that sucker this week. So good for them. Thanks to Preston Automotive Group for the continued support of my channel as one of my title sponsors. At Preston, Bobby Baltimore subscribers receive a couple different things. And first of all, I want to, speaking of Mark Andrews, if you follow Preston Automotive Group on Instagram, first of all, there's always giveaways and a number of different incentives and events going on at Preston. But Mark Andrews is one of their ambassadors, and they were sure to show him a little bit of love. Yes, he surpassed Derek Mason, all-time receiving yards leader. There he is at the Preston Ford West location with his truck, his F-150. And we're both brand ambassadors at Preston, which is an honor to be alongside Mark representing this great company. But for those of you that are not familiar with Preston, I would highly encourage you to go check them out. They've got locations all throughout the DMV, including Randallstown, which is where I go when I'm home, Aberdeen, all across Delmarva. They just opened up a new dealership in Millsboro, Delaware, and Preston's got everything you need. Well over 2,000 vehicles to choose from in their available inventory section, exclusive offers that are available to my subscribers, like a $500 credit towards a newer pre-owned vehicle are there for the taking, and when you buy 4 tires, you'll get 50% off your alignment. So special thanks to Preston for the continued support. I'll drop their Instagram link into the live chat if you'd like to share a thought with them or follow them for future purposes. And the show rolls on. Appreciate you guys for being with me. If you haven't already done so, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell, consider becoming a channel member or gift-giving membership. Obviously, the Ravens offensive line, red zone woes, and short yardage deficiencies continue to linger. Handoffs to Derrick Henry on first down have become predictable, and the Ravens are struggling to get the push that's required. Derrick Henry's 59-yard burst perhaps doesn't tell the full story of just how much of a struggle this offensive line had tonight against a really talented, stout Cleveland defensive front. You take that 59-yard carry out, and by the way, Daniel Fa'alele, for what it's worth, number 77, opened up that gap for Derrick Henry to take it 59 yards. You take that 59-yard out, and his numbers are looking a little bit different tonight. He finished with 18 carries for 103 yards, 5.7 on average. But again, that looks a lot different without that 59-yard burst. Keaton Mitchell had 6 carries for 31 yards. That averaged out to be 5.2 per tote. Lamar had just 4 for 10. And of course, Mark had one in there, which ended up being the game-deciding momentum shifting play, which was the fake tush push. I don't understand why Todd Monken continues to lean on this rollout concept. It's predictable. It against particularly a Cleveland defensive front. It takes too long to develop. And Lamar found himself in no man's land early and often today. And I don't know why Todd went back to that play. They have not had a lot of success with this rollout. And I wonder if the lack of zone read calls in the red zone is an indication of where Lamar is physically. I thought one of his scurries in the first quarter suggested that he was relatively healthy. But then there were other times where I kind of felt like he still was hesitant, indecisive, and lacking that extra motor. I mean, granted, this is a player that not only is just a couple weeks removed from a multi-week absence due to a hamstring strain, but then popped up with a knee after taking some big hits on the road in Minnesota. One of which, by the way, the player was fined for, I saw over the weekend, Jeff noting that. So it's frustrating. This is a team right now that's winning in spite of a really lackluster offense. Last week it was about Lamar making the winning plays when it mattered through the air. This week it was about a defense that chipped away, turned Shador over, right? Tyler Loop is handling his end of the bargain from a special teams perspective, but yet just the Ravens offense struggles. It struggles to consistently move the ball. It struggles in getting push in short yardage situations. It struggles and stalls out inside the 20. They get cute at times inside the 20. I've talked for 30 straight minutes and realized that my throat was starting to close up on me. So they're winning in spite of some of these deficiencies, which is a positive sign, and I'm sure won't have an issue getting past the Jets coming up on Sunday at home. But this has got to get cleaned up. And yeah, you're winning games with, in today's case, without Rashad Bateman, who's a red zone threat. You're winning games without Marlon Humphrey, who is your starting inside corner. Keon Martin got an opportunity to be the next man up tonight. Had a sack, like I already mentioned, which was great for him. Justice Hill was out, so Keaton Mitchell got more opportunities, as did Rasheen Ali. And I don't want to sleep on, even though he's had a slow year and a quiet year, I don't want to sleep on the significance of Rashad Bateman's absence in the red zone. Now, again, they've had these struggles with and without Rashad. And Isaiah Likely, as I know many of you have been commenting on, is really kind of struggling to get open, consistently catch the football, and kind of find his way into the 2025 season after missing the first month plus due to that foot fracture that he sustained at the end of training camp. Isaiah, how many times was he targeted tonight? Just three targets, 2 receptions for 15 yards. Yeah, he's been slow. He's had a slow start trying to get himself back into a rhythm. I don't know how much that has to do with health and building himself back up. Obviously, both he and Mark Andrews in the first quarter in Minnesota both had uncharacteristic drops. So this is a team that is winning games despite a number of different substandard, sub excellence. This is the point in the night where I crash and my English just goes below the belly, below the waist. But I think you know what I mean. They're still waiting for their tight ends to have signature performances. Charlie Kohler's reached the end zone several times this year, but he's not a high volume guy. Isaiah Likely has struggled to build himself back up and find his way within the confines of this offense. And by the way, not to mention, not only is Isaiah dealing with the aftermath of his foot procedure, but then when he did return, Lamar ended up exiting. And with Pat Ricard, of course, just being back into the lineup over the last couple of weeks, if there's something that you're looking to hang your hat on, it's that this team has barely been intact. Its core, its nucleus has barely been intact so far this year. And now they're going through the latest wave of that with no Marlon, no Bateman, and we'll see what's going on with Justice Hill at the moment. So, and obviously they're never going to be fully intact, knowing that Nnamdi Madubuike is done for the year. So this is just the reality of where the Ravens find themselves. But bottom line is 5-5. They've won 4 straight games. You got a winnable one coming up against the Jets on Sunday, and then you turn around on a short week and you host Cincinnati on Thanksgiving night. Which Joe will be starting, that remains to be seen. Kyle Hamilton recorded 9 tackles, including a sack, 3 TFLs, which is a career high, 2 pass deflections, and 1 forced fumble in the Week 11 win at Cleveland. I'm reading directly from the Ravens Comms Twitter account. He's the first defensive back and the second NFL player. Former Ravens linebacker Peter Boulware was the other, since 1999 to post a stat line with at least 9 tackles, 1 sack, 3 TFLs, 2 PDs, and 1 forced fumble in a single game. This dude is a freak of nature. 14 is playing at an all-pro caliber level. Dare I say, defensive player of the year caliber level. That's the type of greatness that we're watching play in and play out from the do-it-all safety. Good for you, Kyle. Good for you. Around the NFL, Buffalo beat up late. This game was anyone's going into the fourth quarter, but Bills at their place beat Baker Mayfield and the Bucks 44-32. Josh Allen went nuts. If the postseason began today, they would be a wild card team right now. Would the Bills? They're 7-3 at the moment, entering Week 12. As for Pittsburgh, they pulled away late, 34-12. This final score was not indicative of what this game consisted of through 3+ quarters. But the Steelers defense balled out. 2 touchdowns scored, 1 touchdown allowed, just 1 touchdown allowed. Joe Flacco, 1 pick 6 to who house called that? Who house called that? Kyle Duggar, I think, right? Was the house call, if I'm remembering correctly earlier on. I don't know. It's after 11 o'clock and I'm starting to be mush. But this is what's most important, is that Aaron Rodgers is dealing with some sort of left wrist injury. It's been called a slight break, according to Schefter's source, NFL Network, Rappaport, and Pelissero referred to it as a small fracture. So we'll see. There's more testing to be done. But I think we all know if Aaron Rodgers is not under center for Pittsburgh, they have no legitimate shot to remain in sole possession of first place for the AFC North and take this division, for my money, when it's all said and done. So they better hope that, and again, it's the left wrist. Obviously, he's a righty, so this is the non-throwing hand, non-throwing wrist, but it's something that he's going to have to manage and ultimately, I would guess, knowing him, play through at this point. Denver improved to 6-0 at Empower. What is it? Empower at Mile High? 6-0. Denver is rolling right now. They beat Kansas City 22-19. Will Lutz had a game-deciding field goal as time expired. Broncos are 9-2 right now. They would be the overall top seed in the AFC if things began today with that first-round bye. So good for them. Kansas City 5-5 along with the Ravens. Panthers beat the Falcons 30-27. Davis Mills and the Houston Texans beat Tennessee 16-13. Texans are 5-5 as well. CJ Stroud trying to get his ass healthy. Jaguars beat up the Chargers 35-6. Justin Herbert's offensive line is in big trouble. And Chicago has won 7 of 8 games under first-year head coach Ben Johnson. Caleb Williams and company beat Minnesota 19-17. And then I already mentioned Terrell Suggs, or at least we did on the vault. He was going ape shit. Oh no, I mentioned it earlier on in this show. He was going ape shit during the game on Twitter, which was pretty freaking funny. So, say what you want about Aaron Rodgers. You guys in the live chat, I got no time for your asses tonight. What do you think? Mason Rudolph's going to keep him afloat? All due respect to Mason. But you think Mason Rudolph's going to keep it more interesting in the AFC North for Pittsburgh than Aaron Rodgers will? Please. Don't give that to me. I can't take that tonight. I really can't. I can't take that kind of pain tonight from you guys. I really can't. I just can't. 5-5. Ravens are winners of 4 straight games. Everything's in front of them. We will see what happens against the Jets coming up on Sunday. But yeah, they did enough to win. And that's all that matters when it comes to in-division opponents. This is a game that last year in Cleveland, they coughed up. Jameis Winston was under center for the Browns. Kyle Hamilton almost reeled in what should have been an interception. Same thing today. He joked about that. He's always self-deprecating in his interviews. And so he should have picked off, who was it today? Was it Shador? He should have picked off Shador. He should have picked off Jameis Winston last year in Cleveland. But the reality is you can't do it all when you're 14. And the guy comes pretty darn close to doing it all on a weekly basis. So that's where things stand right now. I hope you guys have a great rest of the night. That's 40 minutes for you. Like the video on your way out. Subscribe. Hit that notification bell. I got to sleep. I got to get a workout in the morning. And my Celsius crash right now is real. So enjoy the rest of Sunday Night Football. Philadelphia trying to put the finishing touches on Detroit in Philly. So I'll catch up with you guys on the Vault tomorrow, 12 noon Eastern. You guys know the drill. Thanks to Preston Automotive Group. Would love for you to join the Bobby Baltimore Discord server if you don't already. It's free 24/7 conversation for all things Baltimore sports. And I'll catch up with you guys tomorrow.